Imagine being told that aging isn't driven only by time, but by the movements you stop doing, not supplements, not genetics, not even your age. From a medical and biomechanical perspective, aging accelerates when the body loses its ability to hang, squat, stand up, rotate, and stabilize itself. These are not gym skills, they are survival skills. And when they fade, the body ages faster than it needs to. Here's what doctors observe consistently. Two people of the same age can look, move, and feel decades apart. One struggles with stiffness, weakness, and balance. The other moves freely, reacts quickly, and feels strong. The difference is not motivation or willpower. It's whether the body is still exposed to the movements it evolved to perform. What really happens as we age is not that the body suddenly fails. It adapts to disuse. When joints stop moving through full ranges, they stiffen. When muscles stop supporting the skeleton, posture collapses. When the nervous system stops being challenged, reaction speed slows. This cascade is what most people experience as aging, but it is not inevitable. Medical research now shows that certain foundational movements send powerful signals to the body to maintain strength, mobility, coordination, and even tissue quality. These signals slow down the biological processes associated with aging, not by forcing the body, but by reminding it what it was designed to do. Doctors don't look at exercise the way fitness trends do. They look at function. Can you support your own body weight? Can you get up from the ground? Can your hips rotate freely? Can your core stabilize your spine? Can your nervous system hold tension without collapsing? These abilities predict independence, fall risk, joint health, and long-term quality of life far better than how many steps you take in a day. That's why the most effective exercises for slowing aging are not complicated routines. They are simple, fundamental movements performed consistently. Movements that reawaken joints, muscles, and connective tissue. Movements that tell the body it is still needed, still capable, still alive. In this video, you'll learn 5 science-backed exercises that doctors and movement specialists recognize as some of the most powerful tools for slowing physical aging naturally. Each one targets a system that declines rapidly with disuse, grip strength, joint depth, transition strength, hip mobility, and core stability. Together, they form a blueprint for maintaining strength, balance, and resilience well into later decades of life. You'll notice that none of these movements require machines, extreme effort, or athletic ability. They can be scaled, assisted, and adapted. What matters is exposure, not perfection. Even brief, consistent practice sends a strong biological signal to preserve function. As you listen, imagine how these movements show up in daily life. Hinging reflects grip strength and shoulder health. Squatting reflects joint range and circulation. Standing up from the floor reflects independence. Hip rotation reflects gait and spinal health. Isometric holds reflects stability, balance, and nervous system control. When these are present, aging slows. When they disappear, decline accelerates. Let's start with the first movement doctors associate with longevity and resilience, one that quietly predicts strength, posture, and even life expectancy. Hanging. Hanging is one of the most overlooked yet powerful movements when it comes to slowing physical aging, and doctors pay close attention to it for a reason. The ability to support your own body weight, even partially, sends an immediate and profound signal to the body that strength, coordination, and structural integrity are still required. When that signal disappears, decline accelerates quietly, starting with grip strength and spreading upward through the shoulders, spine, and nervous system. Grip strength is often called a vital sign of aging in medical research. It correlates strongly with overall muscle mass, bone density, cardiovascular health, and even cognitive resilience. When grip strength weakens, it is rarely an isolated issue. It reflects a global reduction in neuromuscular engagement. Hanging, whether fully unassisted or with support, directly challenges this system in a way few other exercises can. The hands must grip, the forearms must engage, and the nervous system must coordinate tension across the entire upper body. You'll notice that hanging immediately activates the shoulders in a way daily life no longer does. Modern movement rarely places the arms overhead while bearing load. As a result, the shoulder joints lose space, connective tissue stiffens, and posture begins to collapse forward. Hanging reverses this pattern by gently decompressing the shoulder joints while simultaneously strengthening the muscles that stabilize them. This combination of traction and activation is rare, and it's one of the reasons hanging is so effective for shoulder longevity. From a spinal perspective, hanging provides a natural decompression effect. Gravity gently lengthens the spine while the surrounding muscles engage to stabilize it. This can reduce the compressive forces that accumulate from years of sitting, walking, and standing. Doctors often observe that people who maintain overhead loading tolerance tend to retain better posture and spinal resilience as they age. Hanging reinforces this tolerance in a controlled and scalable way. Another critical benefit of hanging is how it stimulates the nervous system. Supporting body weight requires coordination, awareness, and reflexive stabilization. This keeps the nervous system sharp. Aging is not just a muscular process, it is neurological. Reaction speed, coordination, and proprioception decline when they are no longer challenged. Hanging demands full body engagement, even when assisted, and this keeps neural pathways active. Many people assume hanging is only for athletes or younger bodies, but that misconception prevents one of the most powerful anti-aging signals from being used. Assisted hangs, mixed grips, or partial weight hangs are more than enough to produce benefit. The goal is not duration or intensity. It is exposure. Even short hangs performed regularly remind the body that it must remain strong and coordinated. Hanging also has a direct relationship with posture. As grip and shoulder strength improve, the upper body naturally becomes more upright. The chest opens. The head aligns better over the spine. This reduces strain on the neck and upper back, areas that commonly become painful with age. Improved posture also enhances breathing mechanics, allowing the lungs to expand more fully and efficiently. You'll notice that hanging creates a sense of confidence in the upper body. Carrying objects feels easier. Reaching overhead feels safer. Balance improves subtly because the body feels more connected as a unit. This is because hanging integrates the upper and lower body through the core, reinforcing whole body tension management rather than isolated muscle work. From a longevity standpoint, the reason doctors value hanging so highly is that it addresses multiple aging systems at once. It trips strength, joint health, connective tissue resilience, posture, and neural coordination simultaneously. Few movements offer this level of efficiency, and because it can be scaled, it remains accessible across decades of life. Consistency matters more than duration. Even 20 to 30 seconds of hanging, performed a few times a week, can maintain the body's tolerance for overhead load. Over time, that tolerance preserves shoulder health, reduces stiffness, and supports functional independence. The body adapts not to extremes, but to regular reminders of what it must be capable of. When hanging is removed entirely from life, aging accelerates in the upper body first. Grip weakens, shoulders stiffen, posture collapses. When hanging is reintroduced, even gently, these trends can slow or partially reverse. That is why doctors see hanging not as an optional fitness drill, but as a foundational movement that helps keep the body strong, responsive, and structurally sound as the years progress. The deep squat is one of the most revealing movements doctors use to assess how well the body is aging because it reflects the health of multiple systems at once: ankles, knees, hips, spine, circulation, and nervous system coordination all show themselves in this single position. When the body can still move comfortably into and out of a deep squat, it signals that aging is being slowed rather than accelerated. As people age, joint range of motion tends to shrink, not because joints are meant to stiffen, but because they stop being taken through their full ranges. Chairs replace the ground. Elevated surfaces replace low ones. Over time, the knees stop bending deeply, the ankles lose mobility, and the hips tighten. The deep squat counteracts this process by gently restoring joint depth in a natural, functional way. From a medical perspective, joint depth is critical. Joints are nourished through movement. Cartilage depends on compression and release to receive nutrients. When joints only move through shallow ranges, cartilage becomes less resilient. The deep squat reintroduces healthy compression at angles that daily life no longer provides. This supports joint longevity rather than damaging it. when performed with control and appropriate assistance. Circulation is another major benefit. The deep squat acts like a pump for the lower body. Blood flow increases to the legs, hips, and pelvis, improving tissue health and recovery. Many people notice warmth and a sense of openness after squatting, which reflects improved circulation. This is particularly important with age, as blood flow to the lower extremities tends to decline. The deep squat also plays a key role in maintaining strength at end ranges. Strength is not just about force production in comfortable positions. It's about being strong where movement becomes challenging. When strength at deep knee and hip angles is lost, the body compensates by avoiding those positions altogether. This avoidance accelerates stiffness and weakness. Practicing the deep squat keeps strength accessible throughout the joint's full range. Balance and coordination are quietly trained as well. Sitting low to the ground requires constant micro adjustments. The feet, ankles, hips, and core work together to maintain stability. This challenges the nervous system in a way walking does not. Over time, balance reactions become sharper, and the body becomes more comfortable in low positions instead of fearing them. You'll notice that the deep squat also supports spinal health. When hips and ankles move well, the spine does not have to compensate. Many back issues in older adults stem from restricted hips, forcing the spine to take on excessive motion. Restoring squat depth reduces this burden and allows the spine to remain more neutral and supported. Importantly, the deep squat does not need to be perfect or unassisted to be effective. Holding onto a stable object, elevating the heels, or using a wider stance allows almost anyone to access the position safely. Doctors value this adaptability because it allows exposure without strain. The body benefits from the position itself, not from how impressive it looks. Another overlooked benefit is how the deep squat maintains independence. Getting low and getting back up safely matters in real life. Picking something up from the floor, playing with grandchildren, recovering from a stumble. When the body retains familiarity with low positions, fear decreases and confidence increases. The nervous system also responds positively to squatting. Being close to the ground teaches the brain that the body can tolerate vulnerability without danger. This reduces guarding and tension, which are common contributors to stiffness and pain with age. Relaxed, controlled squatting encourages smoother movement patterns throughout the day. Doctors often observe that people who retain the ability to squat deeply tend to move more fluidly overall. Their gait is more elastic. Their posture is more upright. Their transitions are smoother. This is not coincidence. The squat keeps joints open, muscles responsive, and coordination intact. Consistency again matters more than intensity. Spending short periods in a deep or resting squat daily can maintain joint depth and mobility far better than occasional intense workouts. The body adapts to what it practices most often. When the deep squat disappears completely from life, aging accelerates in the lower body. Knees stiffen, hips tighten, balance deteriorates. When it is reintroduced thoughtfully, even later in life, many of these changes can slow or partially reverse. That is why doctors consider the deep squat not just an exercise, but a diagnostic and restorative movement that plays a central role in slowing physical aging naturally. The ability to stand up from a chair or the floor without using the hands is one of the clearest indicators doctors use to evaluate how quickly the body is aging. It may look simple, but this movement requires the coordinated function of nearly every major system responsible for independence. When this ability is preserved, people tend to remain mobile, confident, and self-sufficient. When it fades, decline often accelerates quietly. From a medical perspective, standing up is not just about leg strength. It is about how efficiently the body can generate force, control balance, and coordinate movement through space. The quadriceps must straighten the knees. The glutes must extend the hips. The core must stabilize the spine. The nervous system must time all of this precisely while the center of gravity shifts forward and upward. This makes the sit to stand movement one of the most honest reflections of functional health. Doctors consistently observe that many older adults can walk for long periods yet struggle with this basic transition. Walking allows momentum and repetition to mask weakness. Standing up does not. There is no momentum to rely on. The body must create strength from a still position. When this becomes difficult, it often signals that muscle mass, coordination, and balance are declining together. Floor transitions add another layer of importance. The ability to get down to the floor and return to standing safely reflects not only strength, but confidence and mobility. As people age, they often avoid the floor entirely. This avoidance reinforces fear and stiffness. Over time, the nervous system treats low positions as unsafe, even when they are not. Practicing controlled transitions retrains the brain to tolerate and manage these positions. Balance plays a critical role here. Rising from a seated or floor position requires the body to pass through an unstable phase. The feet must grip the ground. The hips must stabilize. The core must prevent collapse. This trains dynamic balance, which is far more relevant to fall prevention than static balance exercises. Many falls occur during transitions, not during steady walking. The sit to stand movement also has a strong relationship with longevity. Research in aging populations has shown that the ability to rise from a chair repeatedly without assistance correlates with lower mortality risk and better long-term outcomes. This does not mean the movement itself extends life, but that it reflects the health of the systems that do. You'll notice that practicing this movement regularly changes how the body feels throughout the day. Standing up becomes automatic instead of deliberate. Chairs no longer feel like obstacles. Fatigue decreases because muscles are doing their job efficiently instead of joints absorbing excess load. This efficiency reduces strain and conserves energy. Another important aspect is confidence. When people struggle to stand, they begin to plan their movements excessively. They choose chairs carefully. They hesitate. This hesitation increases fall risk. Regular sit to stand practice restores trust between the brain and the body. Movements become fluid again, and fear diminishes. Doctors also value this movement because it is easily scalable. Chair height can be adjusted. Hands can be used initially. Speed can be slowed. Floor transitions can begin with support. This allows people at any level to train the movement safely. As strength improves, assistance is reduced naturally. This progression mirrors rehabilitation principles used in clinical settings. The neurological benefits are significant. Each repetition reinforces coordination, timing, and proprioception. The brain learns that the body can handle transitions smoothly. This improves reaction speed and reduces the likelihood of freezing or misstepping in daily life. Another overlooked benefit is how this movement supports joint health. Strong muscles absorb load during transitions, protecting the knees, hips, and spine. When muscles are weak, joints take the stress. Practicing sit to stand restores proper load sharing, often reducing joint discomfort rather than increasing it. Consistency again matters more than volume. Even a small number of repetitions performed daily sends a strong signal to preserve strength and coordination. Because the movement is already part of daily life, training it does not feel artificial. It simply reinforces what the body must do anyway. When the ability to stand up independently is maintained, independence itself is preserved. This is why doctors place such importance on sit to stand and floor transitions. They are not just exercises. They are functional tests, training tools, and predictors of how well the body is aging. Hip mobility is one of the most decisive factors in how the body ages, yet it is often ignored until pain or stiffness becomes unavoidable. Doctors pay close attention to the hips because they act as the central link between the upper and lower body. Every step, every turn, every change in direction depends on how freely and efficiently the hips can move. When hip mobility declines, the effects ripple outward into the knees, spine, and even the shoulders. As people age, the hips tend to lose rotation before they lose strength. Sitting for long periods shortens certain muscles and limits joint motion. Walking alone does not restore this lost range. It reinforces forward movement, but neglects rotation, lateral motion, and depth. Over time, the hips become stiff in directions that are essential for balance and efficient gait. This stiffness forces other joints to compensate, often leading to knee pain or lower back discomfort. Doctors often see when hip rotation is limited, walking mechanics change, steps become shorter, the pelvis stops rotating naturally. The spine twists excessively to make up for restricted hips. This inefficiency increases energy cost and fatigue, making movement feel harder than it should. Hip mobility drills reverse this pattern by restoring the body's ability to rotate, shift, and stabilize from the center. Movements like controlled rotations and deep hip positions expose the joint to ranges it no longer experiences in daily life. This exposure is essential. Joints depend on varied motion to stay healthy. Synovial fluid circulates best when joints move through multiple angles. When this circulation improves, stiffness decreases and comfort increases. You'll notice that improved hip mobility often reduces back pain without directly targeting the spine. This happens because the hips resume their role as the primary movers. When hips move well, the spine can remain stable instead of compensating. Doctors recognize this relationship and often address hip mobility before treating spinal symptoms. Hip mobility also plays a major role in balance. Many balance losses occur laterally or during rotation, not straight ahead. When the hips cannot rotate or shift smoothly, the body reacts slowly to disturbances. Hip drills train the muscles and nervous system to respond to these shifts with control rather than panic. This improves stability during turns, uneven terrain, and unexpected movements. Another important aspect is how hip mobility affects circulation and tissue health. The hips house large muscles and blood vessels. Movement through full ranges improves blood flow, nutrient delivery, and waste removal. This supports muscle recovery and joint health, particularly important as circulation naturally declines with age. Hip drills also retrain movement patterns that have been lost. The nervous system adapts to limited movement by avoiding it altogether. Gentle, repeated exposure teaches the brain that these positions are safe. Over time, movement becomes smoother and less guarded. This reduction in guarding often decreases pain and increases confidence. Doctors emphasize that hip mobility work should be controlled and intentional. Forcing range or moving aggressively can trigger protective responses. Slow, deliberate drills allow the nervous system to relax and adapt. This approach respects the aging body while still providing the stimulus needed to maintain mobility. Another overlooked benefit is how hip mobility supports strength. Strength is only useful when it can be applied through available range. Restoring hip motion allows existing strength to be expressed more effectively. Movements like standing up, squatting, and walking become easier because the body no longer fights itself. Hip mobility also influences posture. Tight hips pull the pelvis out of alignment, affecting spinal curves and balance. Restoring mobility allows the pelvis to settle into a more neutral position. This improves posture naturally, reducing strain on the lower back and improving overall movement efficiency. Consistency again is key. Hip mobility does not improve through occasional effort. Short, frequent sessions produce the best results. Even a few minutes of daily hip movement can maintain joint health far better than longer, infrequent routines. When hip mobility is neglected, aging accelerates through compensations. Knees wear faster, backs stiffen, balance deteriorates. When it is restored, movement becomes fluid again. That is why doctors consider hip mobility drills not optional, but essential for preserving gait, balance, and long-term independence as the body ages. Isometric holds and core stability exercises play a unique and essential role in slowing aging because they train the body to maintain control under tension without relying on movement or momentum. Doctors value these exercises because they directly strengthen the systems responsible for posture, balance, and joint protection, systems that tend to decline quietly with age but have enormous impact on daily safety and independence. As people get older, the ability to generate strength often remains longer than the ability to control it. Muscles may still be capable of producing force, but the nervous system struggles to stabilize the body when that force is required. This is why many falls happen not during fast movement, but during simple tasks like standing still, reaching, or shifting weight. Isometric exercises address this problem by teaching the body how to hold itself together. When the body maintains a static position under load, such as a plank, wall sit, or single leg balance, deep stabilizing muscles activate automatically. These muscles surround the spine, hips, and joints, creating internal support. Unlike dynamic exercises, isometrics do not rely on speed or range of motion. They rely on tension and alignment. This makes them exceptionally safe and effective for older adults. Core stability is often misunderstood as abdominal strength alone. In reality, it includes the muscles of the trunk, hips, pelvis, and even the shoulders that work together to keep the body upright and balanced. Isometric holds train this entire system as a unit. When this system is strong, posture improves without conscious effort. Standing feels easier. Sitting feels more supported. Fatigue decreases because the body is no longer fighting gravity inefficiently. Doctors often observe that poor core stability leads to compensatory patterns. The lower back tightens. The hips become stiff. The knees absorb excess load. Isometric training redistributes this load appropriately. Muscles take on their protective role, reducing strain on joints and connective tissue. Over time, this can decrease chronic discomfort rather than aggravate it. Balance is another area where isometric exercises excel. Holding a position challenges the nervous system to make constant micro adjustments. These adjustments sharpen proprioception, the body's ability to sense its position in space. With age, proprioception declines if it is not challenged. Isometric holds keep this system active, improving balance and reducing fall risk. Another critical benefit is how isometrics improve confidence. Because movements are controlled and predictable, fear is minimized. The body learns that it can handle tension safely. This confidence transfers into daily activities, standing longer, carrying objects, maintaining balance during transitions. The nervous system becomes less reactive and more composed. Isometric exercises also support joint health. By strengthening the muscles around a joint without moving it, they increase stability without causing wear. This is particularly valuable for individuals with joint sensitivity, arthritis, or past injuries. Doctors often recommend isometrics during rehabilitation for this reason, and the same principles apply to healthy aging. Another overlooked advantage is efficiency. Isometric holds require little space, no equipment, and minimal time. Even short holds performed regularly can produce meaningful improvements. This makes them easy to integrate into daily routines, increasing consistency. As with other longevity, focused exercises, consistency matters more than intensity. Breathing also improves with isometric training. Holding controlled tension encourages diaphragmatic breathing and coordination between breath and movement. This improves oxygen delivery and reduces unnecessary muscle tension. Many people notice a calming effect during and after isometric practice, reflecting improved nervous system regulation. From a neurological standpoint, isometrics maintain the brain's ability to manage sustained effort. Aging often reduces tolerance for holding positions, leading to restlessness and instability. Training this tolerance preserves endurance at the nervous system level, which supports both physical and cognitive resilience. Isometric holds also prepare the body for dynamic movement. A stable core allows limbs to move freely and efficiently. Without this stability, movement becomes compensatory and risky. By reinforcing stability first, isometrics make all other movements safer and more effective. Doctors consider isometric and core stability exercises a cornerstone of aging well because they address the quiet weaknesses that cause the most problems: poor posture, poor balance, joint instability. These issues rarely appear suddenly. They develop slowly when stabilizing systems are neglected. When isometric holds are practiced regularly, the body feels solid rather than fragile. Movements feel controlled rather than uncertain. The body responds to challenges with steadiness instead of collapse. This is why isometric training is not just a fitness tool, but a foundational practice for preserving strength, balance, and confidence as the body ages.